Now, in addition to the element info dialog, there's another MicroStation application that's going to be very useful to us, and this is the Project Explorer dialog. Now, by default, the MicroStation primary tools, where the Project Explorer icon is located, does not turn on the Project Explorer icon. So I'm going to right click here under primary tools, and you can see what's turned on. And one of the options that's not turned on is Project Explorer. So I'm going to enable that, and you'll see this little icon here, which is the Project Explorer. So I'm going to bring this up, and we'll take a look at what's here. Now, you'll see by default there's going to be 5 tabs. 2 of these tabs come from MicroStation. They're the Links tab and the File tab. And 3 of these tabs are added by your civil application: Survey, Civil Model, and Civil Standards. Now, real quickly, under MicroStation, Links tab allows you to kind of show all the different links that are in your file. For example, if I click under Designs, it shows me any DGN libraries, any reference files, things like that that I've got attached. Then you've got the File tab, which is basically a centralized location where you can kind of see everything that's in your MicroStation file. For example, are there any dimension styles in here? Are there any saved views? Are there any shared cells? What levels are in this file? What models are in this file? So again, it's a centralized place where we can go and see everything that's inside of MicroStation. Now, as I mentioned, there are 3 tabs added by Civil. The first one is our Survey tab. So this would be what was formerly we called data acquisition. This is now where the tree for survey. So for example, if I want to right click and create a new field book, if I want to drag and drop raw data files, this is where all of that processing would be done. In addition, there's 2 other tabs. First is Civil Model. Now, the Civil Model is very similar to the File tab in MicroStation, where the File tab is a place where you can see all the centralized location to see all the MicroStation elements. The Civil Model tab is a place where you can see all the civil elements. And notice that it shows you not only what's in your primary file, which in this case is default DGN, it'll also show you anything that's in any reference file. So for example, here I've got a reference, my terrain models referenced in. It'll show me anything that's in that file. For example, here's the terrain model. It shows me where it came from. I can right click on it, do a properties. It brings up the element info dialog and shows me information about that terrain model. In the same regard, here inside of default DGN, you may notice in my views here I've got some geometry. I've got a 3D model over here. So for example, under linear elements, it shows me my horizontal geometry. You can see I've got a center line here. If I come under stationing, if I right click and go to properties, you can see it brings up the element info dialog and shows me my stationing there. In the same vein, it would show me any 3D linear geometry if I had it, any terrain models. In this case, my terrain model is in a reference file, not in this file. For example, corridors. Notice that I've created a corridor here called centerline. Underneath that corridor, I could look at any information about that corridor. For example, what template I dropped in here, and the station range of that template. If I had any super elevation or civil cells, things like that, it would all show up here. Finally, we've got our Civil Standards tab. Now the Civil Standards tab, similarly to the Civil Model, will look at any files you've got or any we've got attached. So for example, I've got the main file here, which is default.dgn, but it also automatically looks into any of my DGN libraries. So for example, civil cells are available to me through a DGN library. My design standards, all available, horizontal and vertical design standards, are available through a DGN library. My features, again, are all available. They're all built into this DGN library, and I can view everything here, as well as my filters, project settings, and my roundabouts. Keep in mind that just like MicroStation, once you place something or use something from a DGN library, so for example, I've got a feature here, I may have a feature here in a DGN library, but once I actually use that feature, then that feature is actually placed into the DGN file and it travels with it. So this can be helpful here to see what what features or what standards or whatever have been actually placed in this file. Now finally, with Project Explorer, the user has some control over which those tabs they want to see. So I'm going to come here under Settings, Project Explorer, and this is the Project Explorer settings. So let's say, for example, I'm just working in design. I don't want to see the MicroStation links. I don't want to see the file, and I may not want to see the survey. I only want to see the civil model and the civil standards. So I'll just say OK to that. Again, I'll bring up Project Explorer, and now you'll notice I only see my civil model and my civil standards. Keep in mind this is also dockable, just like every other dialog, so I can unpin it. Here I can bring it over, pop it out when I want to see it, and as I move away, it falls back.